if you are an InBody provider, you want to have a listing on InBody's website on the provider finder. You want your website linked, you want your photo, your logo, your address, all of that stuff, because again, that site is getting a lot of traffic. And if I go on there and I see somebody with a photo versus somebody that doesn't, I'm more likely to click on them. But the AI tools are also skimming all of these external sites. Press releases is basically just an article rather than it living only on your website. It's sent out via Newswire. And now you've got an article on an ABC TV station affiliate's website, and maybe you're in a newspaper publication's website. So it's creating these media mentions of you and your domain, and the AI tools pull from that. I would say, in terms of what to pay attention to, this is a race now for being found in AI and not. And it's way more important even than what we were doing before with SEO. So you still need to have search engine optimization, but you have to be paying attention to this, because if you're not, and your whole strategy is Instagram and Facebook ads, the minute you stop paying for those, you're invisible, right? And you'll notice AI isn't pulling from what you're posting on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok.
Welcome to Beyond the Scale. I'm your host, Bradley Davey from InBody, and this podcast exists to educate and empower the next generation of healthcare providers. We're here to share tips, tricks, tools, resources, and assets to help catalyze your growth with InBody's ecosystem of health assessment tools. Today's guest is Lori Werner. She's the founder and chief marketing whiz at Medical Marketing Whiz, an outsourced CMO engine for healthcare practices. And Lori and I have met several times, and I'm excited to get you here because we kind of swim in the same sea, and we have our hearts are in the right place to help people expand their potential and help practices grow. And welcome to Beyond the Scale, Lori. Thanks for coming.
So I'm so excited to be here. Yes, you and I have we've run into each other so many times. We were like, you know what? We gotta do a podcast together. We've gotta collaborate. So I'm excited to have the chance to chat today.
Let's add some value to the world in this little time capsule that we get to share. So tell me, let's just think about your philosophy on how to help a practice grow. What angle do you come in from, and what kind of things are you thinking about in a journey of helping a practice from your perspective as a medical marketing whiz?
Yeah. So I think there's kind of two buckets that we have to look at, because the strategy is going to be different whether they are an established practice that's maybe just bringing, in this example, InBody into the mix, or if they're brand new, right? So one of the things that we like to do is some sort of baseline marketing analysis report, because I want to get an idea of the two aspects of marketing that we need to move the needle. Number one, you have to be found in search. So getting a good idea of, are you found in AI when somebody is doing a search? Are you found on Google? Are you doing really advanced marketing things like you've got an amazing Instagram, but you have a website that actually doesn't get found? So we like to kind of analyze things from, first, your online visibility, and then second, how do we get people to actually choose you, right? Because just because you show up in search doesn't mean that you're actually going to be chosen, because typically people are going to look at, 2 or 3 or 4 different providers before they decide who they're going to go with. So the second step is really making sure that you're positioned as that go-to authority. Now, the strategy is going to be different for an established practice versus somebody that's new. Somebody that's new might have to put a little bit of gasoline on the fire by running ads and things like that, where somebody that's established may already have a loyal base that we're going to launch a new service to, and they don't necessarily have to spend as much money on ads. So I like to really come at it from an approach of, every practice is unique and everybody's coming from a different starting point. And so staying away from this like cookie cutter list of deliverables to really customizing their marketing strategy based on where they are now and what is that next most important step for them to do.
When you think about it from the perspective of being chosen, what does that mean in the, I guess, the depth of where you sit from your perspective to be chosen? Because one, it could just be I get a lead, right? And somebody chooses me, but it could also be like a longer term value that we're thinking about. Or I think in my mind, there's layers to being chosen that people maybe just think about on a surface layer? How can we help expand that concept?
Yeah. So being chosen is starts with what is the first impression of you online? So when I Google you or when I ask ChatGPT who's the best, let's just say functional medicine doctor near me, are you being found in search? And if you are, how many reviews do you have? Right? I'm going to look at, I am not going to break up with my primary care doctor that is covered by insurance and switch and go to a cash provider if I haven't done a lot of research on that person. So I'm going to look at the reviews. Do they have 3 reviews? Well, 3 reviews kind of looks like nobody even goes there, right? Versus if you have 300 reviews, what do those reviews say about you? Reviews are probably one of the biggest conversion mechanisms that you can have, yet people don't pay attention to them until they've got a couple of bad ones and then now they're playing catch up. So, your Google business profile is where you want to get the reviews and you want to be working on your Google business profile. You have all of your services listed. These are things to help you show up high in the rankings, and also the reviews help you to convert. Now, I may next go to your website and I'm going to look at your website versus 2 or 3 other providers. Does the images on your website, do I see myself there? Many times I'll see people, they've got these images on their website. The person looks like they're 16 years old. And I ask them, their target market is, 49-year-old Lori Werner. Well, the images on your website can very much depend on, do I feel like this is the person that's going to get me? Authentic photos are always going to be the best. So if I'm comparing office A, B, and C, and one of them has real pictures of their team and the other one has a bunch of stock photos, I'm going to have more trust in the one that actually is showing me the real stuff. And then one little thing that can really improve conversions, in fact, we've measured this. It's the smallest thing. We've seen a 49% increase in conversions literally doing this one thing, and that is having a banner on your website. I like to have it kind of below the hero image that has all of your awards and credentials. So if you're a board certified family practice doctor, that logo should be on your website. If you are an InBody provider, right? That logo should be on your website. If you are a 5-star Google rated provider, if you won a top doc award. So a little banner right below the hero image of your site with all of your awards and credentials. And those are little things that, again, when I'm comparing office A, B, and C, and I see, they've got a lot of reviews, their website looks good, it has authentic photos, and they have credibility symbols. Those are all things that can help improve the chance of you being chosen. And then also, obviously, working into your own patients. So you have patients that already know, like, and trust you. The best thing you can do for conversion is getting a referral from your existing patient base. So I know for me, my functional medicine doctor actually has an InBody scale. I probably have, I don't know. I think when we were together at that one meeting, I'm like, I want to get another one because I want to compare my results. But my doctor has that at her clinic. And that's something that is a value add that allows me to choose to go to her. And I have sent 29 of my friends and their husbands to this doctor. So your own patients can also help with conversions when you've got those referrals coming.
I really like that concept of the banner below the hero image. And I've never thought about putting an InBody logo there for people. But a lot of times when people search for a place to go to find an InBody, we've got a map, but it doesn't, like, everybody's not on the map on our website. But in a lot of cases, you got to really search to see who in your community has one, or where you can get it done. It's not always obvious. And that's, I think, an easy way, having a page for the InBody, but also then promoting it there on the homepage in a smaller form alongside of other credentials or other services that you might offer that differentiate your business in the community of what you're trying to capture there.
And that's a device, like, it's a service that people know about. So, like, again, for me, I'm choosing from office A, B, and C, and I go to this one website. It's like, oh, they have this measurement tool. That can be a reason for them to choose you. And you're absolutely right. You need a full page of content about body composition and InBody, because I can guarantee you there is a lot of search traffic, especially now with GLP-1s and all of these, even the tesamorelin, ipamorelin peptides that people are taking. They want to be able to measure their body composition changes, and you having content on your website that says that you offer that, it's a huge advantage for you.
Yeah, even creating additional pages, maybe blog posts or topic pages that you can tag and get that traffic through those doorways that open up to the rest of the website too. Tell me about reviews are so important. What's your philosophy on scaling that as somebody scales a business? Because maybe they are a small business and they don't have more than 3 right now, but I think it could be something that might just be overlooked as they grow the business because they're doing so many things. How do you how do you integrate that into a practice so it becomes something that just naturally grows alongside the practice and compounds over time?
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely software nowadays that can help with that. These automated kind of surveys that patients get at a certain point in their journey that asks them for feedback on the provider. And then if the feedback is good, it goes and cues them to leave a Google review. Whereas if maybe the feedback isn't so good, it goes back to the office manager. The office manager can address it, and the person isn't necessarily being asked to leave a review. So definitely software we can use to our advantage. But honestly, you can do simple things like QR codes. So you can go to your Google business profile, and on the back end of your profile, there's a little section that says get more reviews. And when you click that, that'll actually give you your URL directly to your Google review page. Because again, you don't want people, you want to make it as simple as possible. You don't want them to have to like figure out how to leave your review. So that URL you can make into a QR code. We go on Etsy, and they have different Etsy vendors that will make these cool signs that you can have for the office with the QR code. They're not expensive. But at the end of the day, honestly, you have to just ask people to leave a review. Again, we can do this stuff with software and automations, and definitely, that's recommended if that's within your marketing budget, but you have to ask people for reviews. And it can be as simple as training your front desk, right? They're at the checkout. Maybe the doctor feels kind of weird to ask people to leave a review, but you can ask that person at the front desk to say, hey, you know what? Every time somebody checks out, they got to go through the process to pay their copay or pay their out of pocket, whatever, if it's a cash service. Hey, Lori, how was your visit today with Dr. Smith? Oh my gosh, it was great. He went over my labs, and, he's showing me all the progress that I'm making. I'm really excited about it. And like, you know what? Why I'm checking you out today, one of the things that we are really focused on is getting in front of more patients like you. And I know Dr. Smith would be super thankful if you could take time real quick to leave us a Google review. You can scan this QR code right now or say, hey, you know what? I'm going to send you a text message. If you could take 2 minutes to leave us that review, it's going to mean the world to us. Simple thing like that. It's not a weird thing to ask. I think it's just getting used to asking. And at the end of the day, you have to understand the why behind it. Google straight up says, if you have more reviews, they will send you more traffic. And so it helps with your search engine optimization. And as we talked about at the beginning, it also helps with the conversion. So software or simple asking or things like QR codes are great ways to get started. I would just challenge everyone, please, in the next 90 days, set this as a goal for yourself. Set the goal to get 25 new Google reviews. Now, it's a numbers game. You might have to ask 200 people to get 25 of them to actually leave your review. But so don't feel like, oh my gosh, we're asking a review, we're not getting the reviews. It is a numbers game. So just make it a priority. And I will promise you, you will measure your website traffic, you will measure your Google business stats after 90 days. You're going to see a bump in the traffic, and it literally doesn't cost you anything.
Go out there and do it. It's an easy one. Any software specifically that you like that you'd recommend?
So we have it incorporated in our automations. We use Go High Level for like landing pages and automations and text and email. So we have a
And that has
workflow
the
for that.
reputation management
It
solution
does.
in it
It does.
alongside the
Yeah.
CRM, and it's all integrated with that.
Yes. Yeah. There's Bird Eye is really good. That's a software. Podium's another one that a lot of people use. But again, it's really just about making it a priority. I can't overemphasize the importance. People will spend all this money on Instagram ads and Google ads, and they would not need to do that if they were focusing on search engine optimization, answer engine optimization, and their Google reviews, because those are things that stick with you and stay with you. You're not renting the traffic, you're owning the traffic.
Who do you serve in your business, medical marketing whiz? Who is your ideal customer that you've been able to help and you enjoy working with?
Yeah. So we are in what I would call anti-aging and longevity. In fact, that's the name of my book that's on Amazon, Anti-Aging and Longevity Marketing. So that includes anybody
Like
that is,
here, it's
yeah,
this
there
one.
you go.
In
Yeah,
case
that's
anybody wanted to see it, it's a really good one.
thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yeah. So
We'll
good.
put
It's
the
on your,
link in the we'll put the link in the chat so people
yeah.
can
And you got anybody
have
that
that
listens
too.
to this podcast will give you a free copy. I've got author copies. I'll ship them to you and you'll get we'll even cover the shipping cost.
Well, tell us about the book then.
Well, real quick before that, anti-aging and longevity. So it's going to be aesthetics and longevity specialists, right? So people that are doing hormones, people that are doing weight loss, peptides, just wellness providers, right? People that are focused on preventative medicine. And that's really like my whole team. We are personally very passionate about that. I like to hire people here that like to exercise, that like to eat healthy because we want to be the patient. Like we are the patient. And that's really important when we're thinking about crafting a marketing strategy. You have to be the consumer. So that's really important. Yeah. And the book itself, basically what happened was during COVID, we were doing webinars every single month because of course everybody's office was closed. And so we just started doing these marketing webinars. And so essentially kind of how the book came to be was I took all of the different topics that we had done webinars on and I had those webinars transcribed and those just sort of became the topics. And so we do have a new version of it coming out in the next month that's going to have some more AI marketing tactics in it. So how do you get picked up by ChatGPT and Claude and then we've got another extra chapter I think on even on podcasting even. So there'll be a new version of it coming out, but it's kind of our brain dump of everything that we want people to know about marketing. Just on that note, as providers, think about writing a book. Think about doing something like that because I will tell you that book has been one of the best pieces of marketing collateral that I have ever put out. We actually help doctors with book publishing as well. It's one of the services that we offer because, again, it's a tangible handout that does not go in the garbage can. It also builds authority. It opens up doors to be on podcasts, to have speaking engagements at various things. And it's a great giveaway. Your patients have your book and then they give it to people that they know. So that's also like just some of the outside the box things that we want people to think bigger than let's hire some marketing agency to, make a landing page and throw us up on Instagram and Facebook. And that's kind of the strategy, right? We want to think about things that help set you apart from other people because that is again going back to the getting chosen piece. You got to do things different to stand out.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the book thing for the providers too, because I remember you telling me that, and I wanted to inspire more of that thought from you. And it also kind of makes me think of somebody that's thinking just about a marketing agency and doesn't have the concept of a medical marketing whiz, I guess, right? The whiz expands agent to beyond the concept of just, what we might think of in a traditional agency. And how do you meet somebody in where they're at? Obviously, getting, objective information and seeing all of their assets, their website, where they sit with everything. But how do you help them set goals for things like this, like adding a book to it or, expanding their vision? So we're thinking about that more than the direct driving of new patients, but these are like writing a book is more of like an indirect thing that, yeah, I can directly give it to people, but it expands like the asset of my entity as a whole, me, the intellectual property, those things have longer tails to them that have
Yes.
indirect returns. How do you meet somebody to help them see that path and then map that out for them?
So we always start with the 12-month strategy, but then we break it up into just 90-day sprints because sometimes it can be really overwhelming and we can set this vision, right? And we can say like, "Hey, we think, this would be a great webinar idea for you and this is somebody we think you could partner with and hey, here's a service that, maybe adding peptides as an offering might be something that would be great for you." But we also don't want them to walk away from it with this huge sense of overwhelm of how am I actually like this is going to be more work for me than what I need. And so we have to look at them in 90-day sprints and we want to create, okay, what are the steps that it's going to take to get there, right? Like I mentioned the book thing. Maybe the book thing is a 12-month thing, but we got to have 12 chapters of the book. Well, guess what? We might need to come up with 12 webinar ideas. So this quarter, let's get this first one done. Hey, it's menopause month coming up. Let's do a webinar during menopause month. And then that's going to be one of the chapters of your book, for example. It's also something that's going to be on your social media and it's going to be in your newsletter that month. Because you also don't want to do this like throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks sort of concept. We need to look at things in 90-day sprints. A lot of times we can focus it around also like what the health months are that month or that quarter, you know? So for example, women's health providers that we work with. So September is menopause month, October is breast cancer month, and November is bladder health month. So now that makes sense to have those topics focused around those health months because there's already media attention that's happening on those health topics. So I think we have to paint the broader idea so people see that there's something that we're going towards over this 12-month engagement, but we also have to just look at, okay, right now, what are the most immediate things that need to be done in the next 90 days to get to that next stage? So I think you kind of have to have both. And this is really where, again, when you look at whether you have an internal team doing your marketing or you're working with an agency, do you actually have a strategy? Is there a strategy here, or is this just a bunch of busy work that's happening? And so again, I see that a lot of times people will think they've got to be on social media because they see that's what everybody's doing. But what is your actual strategy to acquire a patient from social media? I see constantly, I will look at people's ad campaigns. I had one yesterday and I'm like, I'm kind of blunt when I do these calls sometimes a little bit. I mean, I try to not be, I don't want to hurt somebody's feeling or call the baby ugly, but at the same time, I think that I'm like, would you ever click on this ad? This ad is not anything I would ever click on. I would scroll. So here you've paid this company to create this landing page and this ad for you. And I guarantee you that topic, they're doing for every single client that has that device. You're no different than anybody else. And would you ever even click on that yourself? No, there's nothing of value that is in this ad. And so then therefore now you don't have a strategy. You just have somebody doing busy work. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And many times people have a great internal team and they can come up with a strategy. Many times they don't, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. Like if you're working with an agency or you have team members that you have to tell them every single thing that they're supposed to be doing, they don't have a strategy. They're just a glorified secretary that's just like pushing the buttons, and you're not going to end up really getting anywhere.
What makes an ad clickable?
I think it has to speak to the pain point of the person. Like the ad yesterday that I saw, it's all about this like such and such device facelift. I'm like, I would never click on that. Now, a better ad would be, have you been on a GLP-1 and you're feeling great because you dropped 30 pounds, but yet you've got some areas that need to be tightened up? Guess what? We have a non-surgical skin tightening option for specifically geared towards skin laxity from GLP-1. You're speaking to the person that's looking in the mirror and going, hey, I love that I lost weight, but where in the heck did these wrinkles come from? You know, or you're trying to target a menopausal patient versus saying, here's our BHRT program. The general person has absolutely no idea what BHRT is, and they don't even know that that's the problem. The ad could be, hey, are you a middle-aged woman that is doing all the things? You're getting your steps, you're eating right, you're exercising, you're drinking water, and you still have 15 pounds that cannot go away. Or you're feeling like you're mentally just not yourself anymore. We actually specialize helping middle-aged women get back to themselves again. Schedule a consultation with us. Like that, you're speaking to the person and what is already going through their head. That's the ad that's clickable. And not these like airbrushed stock photos. Like video ads will perform a lot better than static, photos. But if the photo is an airbrushed person that isn't even really like is an AI person, people can tell that and they don't want to click on that.
It's less
So
relatable.
yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, I know that isn't a real person. I'm not clicking.
But then you also have to know your target market or your avatar. Is that something you help people create in
Yes.
that? And
Yeah.
what percentage of people that you work with intently do you think don't have that dialed in.
The large majority. Most people also don't know the lifetime value of a client. They have absolutely no idea how much one patient is worth to them. It is really hard to come up with a marketing budget when you don't even know what the lifetime value of your patient is. So that's something that you want to have a handle on. And you can have multiple avatars. So sometimes they'll ask, like, who's your target patient? And they're like, Lori, we can help everybody 18 to 80. Okay, that's great. I love that you have solutions for everybody, but your marketing messaging to a 25-year-old is going to be very different than your marketing messaging to a 55-year-old. And so maybe your website needs to have, we have one client, you guys can go to their website, staybeautifulmedspa.com. And their website has this little section in it that I really like because it says treatment options no matter your age. And it has 18 to like 25. These are the things that we can do, laser hair removal, body contouring, this and that, right? And then me, I'm 49. My age thing says like, crepey skin and skin tightening and hyperpigmentation and things like that. So yes, your avatar can be everybody 18 to 80, but you also then want to have on your website, like, what are your solutions for that 25-year-old as opposed to the 55-year-old? Or we have another client, Longevity Labs LA. I think it has an S on it, Longevity Lab LA or Longevity Labs LA. I can't remember off the top of my head. But their website is really great because they have a who we serve section and they have men's health. These are the things that we do. Women's health. These are the things we do. First responders, these are the things we do because the guy that actually owns this clinic is a former firefighter. So, if you're a police officer or a firefighter, and then I think they also have one for athletes and fitness enthusiasts because they do some things with like VO2 max and resting metabolic rate and things like that on there. So now if my husband is a police officer and he goes on this page, it's like, man, this is pretty cool. Like they actually have an entire program that is for first responders. Now, to be honest, the solutions are the same, but you're wording it in a way that really speaks to that target person that you're trying to reach. So this again is that the strategy piece behind it and really making sure that you are taking the time to look at who your ideal patient is, because everything you do in marketing needs to speak to that person. Your ads will also work a lot better. If you are running Google ads or Meta ads, the more specific that you can be in the copy, the better targeting the algorithm will show it to that exact person. So your marketing spend actually goes down, just taking a little bit of time to kind of map that out.
I think a lot of people think about their website like a product catalog or a service catalog, and it's from their perspective of what they're thinking. And what I hear you saying is when you frame it from who we serve, you're turning the seat, you're going around to the other side, and you're sitting from the customer's perspective and looking at it, and you're shaping your website to receive the traffic from that point of view. And the same thing when we were talking about the advertisement and not telling us it's a BHRT service, but it's actually, we're thinking about what the patient is thinking when they're coming into this journey to shape this perspective. So many websites out there are just like catalogs and service catalogs
It's
that
like the name of the device. I'm like, nobody is looking up the name of the device. No one knows. I know InBody is one that people do know the name of it, right? So that one I would argue is a bit different. But for the most part, yeah. So like even our website, so I have a section on what do we do? Well, what do? We do websites, we do search engine optimization, we do answer engine optimization, we do email marketing, we do social, we do events, we do webinars, we do book publishing. But then we have a who we serve. We have an OBGYN page, we have a functional medicine page, we have a naturopathic doctor's page, we have a weight loss doctor's page. So same thing, like you can have the what you do, but you also need to have the who we serve because again, content is king. At the end of the day, the more depth of content that you have on your website, the more chances you have for AI to pick you up, for Google to pick you up. And the people that are searching on AI and the people that are searching on Google are much farther in their intent to be a patient than the person that's scrolling on Instagram and Facebook. So those are very, very important foundational things that you want to relook at.
Yeah, there's a journey that somebody goes through from having a thought to of like what they want to, maybe I'm looking for a functional medicine provider, but behind that, there's a reason why that thought came about, right? And then after that, the marketing and the advertisement should carry both of those forward, right? To continue to evolve that concept in somebody's mind and naturally lead them to a call to action to be able to opt in somewhere. Tell me more about that in terms of like what kind of calls to action or opt-ins tend to work in this space.
Yeah. So I think twofold. Obviously, your main call to action is book an appointment. So that book an appointment needs to be very high up on your website. So above the fold, you want a single call to action above the fold. Now, you have a second goal of your traffic, whether it's coming from ads, social media, website traffic, it's building your email list, right? So I'm a big fan of lead magnets. So again, if you go to our website, one of my lead magnets is a free download of the book. Another lead magnet is a webinar. The purpose there is not everybody's ready to get married to you right now. Not everybody is ready to be your patient right now. But if you can collect their contact information by giving them something of value, now they're in your world. Now they're getting your monthly newsletter. Now they're following you on social. Now they're getting invited to your events and webinars. And those are the people that will end up converting down the road. So I think it is a good idea to have some sort of lead magnet. Ebooks, super easy to make now, right? With between AI and Canva, you can get an ebook, a pretty decent ebook put together relatively quickly. And then always having some sort of signature webinar. I think everybody should have a signature talk. Maybe it's on gut health, maybe it's on body composition or weight loss or menopause or whatever the topic is that you're passionate about that speaks to that person that you're trying to reach. And at the beginning, the first time you do this webinar, you're going to be so cringed at how bad you think it is. It's okay. Over time, you get good at delivering this talk and you're able to do it on a podcast. You're able to do it in front of, maybe an event that you're having at your office, or maybe you're speaking to a women's group or a men's group. So having some sort of signature webinar that is a lead magnet. Again, it's all about education based marketing. The more that you can educate your community and educate your patients, the more authentically good you are at marketing. And it's a way that isn't salesy or like cringy. It's you're educating your community in health and wellness. And just because of that, you're going to attract more people. So I think a call to action, register for the webinar, download our free guide. People will put subscribe to my newsletter. Yes, you should have a newsletter, but that isn't a strong call to action, right? No, they don't know how good your newsletter is, and they honestly don't want to subscribe to it. So
Kind of
that
lost
one,
of its appeal these days, I think.
it yeah. So something that you're giving away for free in exchange for their contact information. But it
Yeah.
has to be something valuable, right? Like nowadays I'm not going to just give somebody my email unless I, really really want whatever it is that they have because I have so many emails that I get. So but just on a mistake that I'll see is people have way too many calls to action on their website. It needs to be very clear what you want them to do. And at the end of the day, you want them to book an appointment with you. I just had a call yesterday and we were going through their website and I had to scroll like all the way down to the bottom to even get to their form. I'm like, this needs to be you'll be shocked these little tiny little changes that you do, how much it will improve your conversions.
I have a friend who built a software solution that has a kind of like an intelligence pulse monitor. And I'm sure we'll start talking about a little more AI here as we go too. But as technology expands, I think a lot of the things that businesses need to do are going to be pulled in and things can be automated. So he built this solution where you basically teach it who you are and what your business is and what, the direction of where you want to go and who you want to serve. And it scrapes the internet and it continues to look for trends and topics. And then it produces those topics for you in topic pages and it builds it for you so you can publish it. But then when you publish it, you can automatically have the system turn that into an ebook and put it at the bottom of the
It's
page.
amazing.
So when somebody reads through it, they can then now download this thing and then you're getting
You'll have
lead
to
for
send
it.
me the details on that. We could completely incorporate that. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, it's a pretty massive solution. There's like I think 10 different components built into it around, monitoring, scoring, the flow of everything from your paid advertisements, making sure all your, there's like a yeah, I can build pages, but maybe backlinks don't work, or there's SEO issues or performance things. Those are all things that got to be monitored. These things aren't just like set it and forget it so much of the time. So it's just this solution that helps do all that. So I'll definitely share it with you. I'll put it in the show
Thank
links
you.
too. Mm.
Awesome.
Well, tell me then, we're here on the InBody podcast in your frame of reference from somebody who uses it. going into your clinic and thinks a lot about body composition from a
Scale at my
patient.
house. I even have your scale at my house.
Nice. So from a patient perspective and then leading toward a clinic perspective, how does it fit in your mind?
Well, I personally think, right, in when we're talking about wellness, while I love that our society has shifted more towards wellness, it's great news for us as Americans. There are so many places that have popped up, all these online, wellness platforms that you can join, telehealth providers, which again, telehealth is great. The problem is that many of these solutions miss that human component. And so when you're looking at, again, we kind of talking about differentiating yourselves. Having an in-body system is a differentiator, right? It's a reason for the patients to come in. They can measure the results. This isn't just looking in the mirror and getting on your regular scale and seeing that you lost or gained weight. It truly keeps them motivated that they're seeing changes, right? Because when they don't have that, they're working out, they're eating right, and then all of a sudden the scale doesn't move. And now they are not motivated anymore. And now they're stopping your program. Whereas when they can come in and they can see, hey, I'm actually building lean muscle and my visceral fat has gone down. And yeah, the scale hasn't moved, but look at my body composition changes. It keeps people motivated. It also differentiates you from these online places where they don't have that as part of the protocol. The InBody also, I personally love it because it's also something that, and again, you guys have some more portable versions of this, but if you're going to do a community health event, that's something that drives traffic to your booth. That it's something for people to, do a scan and have something to take away that can make them think about, hey, you know what? I probably do need to make some changes, lifestyle changes. So I think it's also a great lead generator. When we talked about ads, if you can get that person to come into your clinic, most of the providers that we work with, they're like, Lori, if I can get them to come in and see what we have to offer and meet our team, I have a high chance of converting that person. This is also a reason. So if you're running, let's say you're going to run an Instagram or Facebook ad or a TikTok ad or a Google ad, right? That's a good come in and get your body composition analysis. And it's a low cost to entry for you, right? It's not you're not paying every single time somebody comes in and uses it. But I think that there's a lot of value to that. The other thing, as I mentioned, from a search engine optimization standpoint, it is something that gets a lot of searches. So incorporating it into your website also can then grow all the rest of the services that you offer as well. So just won't be one of these people that buys these devices and then they never incorporate it into their website and they don't add it to their Google profile and they're not utilizing it. And then like, well, shoot, I wish I could use this more, but there hasn't really been a strategy to actually get the word out about.
Well, we're going to make a strategy and we're going to share that with anybody that wants it so they can connect with you and think through holistically how it integrates into the business that way because there's so many opportunities and in my experience here for 10 years there's just a big gap in people doing that disparately inconsistently, and it also makes me think of healthcare is changing, and I think the relationship is becoming more central in it. Not that it wasn't there before, but so much of how people were cared for was dependent on an insurance system,
Mhm.
and that was, not that there wasn't cash-based options, but it's becoming more prominent and that part of the market is expanding and it's based on outcomes and it's based on values and it's based on the relationship rather than a billing code and you're out the door. So having ways to differentiate yourself and connect with the patients and knowing that if I can get somebody in here and I can convert them and then having an idea of what that customer's journey is and their lifetime value and how we can continue to bring them up a value ladder, right? We think we start simple and then in, software development world, I think about it sometimes as like land and expand. We land on one concept, we wedge ourselves in, and then we build from there. And we're thinking, how else can we help this person and their health? And I think that's why a lot of businesses evolve to get all these other products and services to give their patients these options. And the InBody is kind of like we call it the traffic director in a way. because through the lens of the InBody, you can connect, a visceral fat or a body fat to a weight loss program, or somebody's muscle and their cell health to a metabolic optimization program. Or if we're in, fitness or wellness, we're thinking about their strength and their resilience, and having that central and prominent in your process, and having thought through how does that work all the way across the journey is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen a lot of success too with like the InBody being part of membership programs. You get X number of InBody scans throughout the year. You can pop in the office whenever you want and get your scan. So, I mean, incorporating it into membership programs is another great place to do it.
Let's pivot to AI and talk about what should somebody understand through the context of all of this that's going to help them get found in relationship to, how people are evolving their use of technology today to find people. Because I'm not even using Google anymore. I just use AI to find everything I want because it gives me that and more.
Yes. Yes. I have found the exact same thing with myself is you just get a more straightforward answer when you're asking Claude or you're asking ChatGPT, and Google even has its own AI answers now. And so this is honestly probably the biggest shift that we've seen in marketing in the last like 12 to 18 months is what we call answer engine optimization. And so it's important to kind of understand, where does AI actually pull their information from? So it's triggered by these informational queries that people ask. As an example, I was trying to find a functional medicine doctor for my stepdad. He's 70, he's having some balance issues. I think he's got some gut health issues, and his traditional doctor is really not doing much about it. And so I had told my mom, you know what, we need to get him into a functional medicine doctor. She's like, well, can you find me one? Well, right now it's a lot easier for me to go to ChatGPT and say, my stepdad is a 72-year-old man. He's got this and this and this going on. This is where he lives. I need a functional medicine doctor that also specializes in neurologic symptoms such as balance issues. And I just type that into the AI tool and it spits out three people. Here's the difference. If I were to do that in Google, it's going to spit me out pages upon pages of people. So the difference with AI is that it's only going to show 3 to 4 options and everybody else is completely invisible. So, where is it pulling that from? It's pulling typically first from the top 10 to 12 website rankings. So, search engine optimization still plays a foundational role in AI. So, you still got to try to get your website ranked in the top 10 to 12. AI also pulls from YouTube. So they are a key player in Google's AI overviews. So I would argue YouTube is probably in the world of AI now, the most important social media platform. So having a YouTube channel, and then the way that your content is written needs to adjust slightly. So yes, you should still be doing blogs, but those blogs need to be more in an FAQ sort of format, more skimmable, kind of authoritative content. They look at the recent content. So again, you mentioned earlier, Bradley, about like marketing isn't set it and forget it. Your website isn't set it and forget it. It needs to be a living, breathing document that you're adding regular content to it. So how recent your content is and the depth of your content. And then they also pull from media and industry sites. So for example, if you are an InBody provider, you want to have a listing on InBody's website as a provider on the provider finder. You want your website linked, you want your photo, your logo, your address, all of that stuff. Because again, that site is getting a lot of traffic. And if I go on there and I see somebody with a photo versus somebody that doesn't, I'm more likely to click on them. But the AI tools are also skimming all of these external sites. So, the other thing about media sites, I mentioned press releases. So, writing press releases, and press releases is basically just an article rather than it living only on your website. It's sent out via Newswire. And now you've got an article on an ABC TV station affiliate's website, and maybe you're in a newspaper publication's website. So it's creating these media mentions of you and your domain, and the AI tools pull from that. So I would say, like, in terms of what to pay attention to, this is a race now for being found in AI and not. And it's way more important even than what we were doing before with SEO. So you still need to have search engine optimization, But you have to be paying attention to this because if you're not, and your whole strategy is Instagram and Facebook ads, the minute you stop paying for those, you're invisible, right? And you'll notice AI isn't pulling from what you're posting on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. It's not
It
pulling
doesn't
from.
cost you anything at all to optimize for this either. And what I hear you saying is there's a deeper triangulation happening, not just in maybe what somebody's searching for, but also deeper research and reference to what the standard is in the industry for what that person is searching. So for instance, like if your website doesn't align well with what you're doing in terms of like the ideal profile of a OBGYN or a functional medicine practice and you have gaps there, it might actually miss you because you don't line up with all those gaps. Everything's not there in terms of the synergy of what somebody's looking for and what it's generalized it to understand and how you line up with it. You might not triangulate well and all of that.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Said perfectly,
Well,
Greg. Yes.
I know we got to go here. I want to ask you one more question and then we'll make an offer for the audience. So tell me, also, I want you to come back and we can extend this conversation too. But
We have to. We
what
could talk for a whole nother hour, I think.
what legacy do you want to leave behind for yourself professionally, personally?
I want people to know that what we're doing is bigger than being a marketing agency. Like at the end of the day, I feel like we have a megaphone to be able to let patients know who the actual best providers are. And that's why we're picky about who we work with. We're not going to just take anybody as a client. We want to really elevate the best doctors. And I know you're working with some pharmacists as well and health coaches and those sort of folks. So for us, like our bigger mission is we care about health and wellness. And if we can help more people know about the providers that are actually going to go over root cause medicine, that's really what we want to do. And we want people to look at functional medicine marketing and integrative health marketing and think of medical marketing whiz because we're a group of people that actually care and we focus on, how to help you find your best patients. So,
Let's go. So we're gonna add some resources here for everybody who wants to continue to learn more. We've been working on some secret sauce and recipes that we can share as we think about marketing the InBody. So follow that and let us know how we can also continue to support you. Also, another plug for your book. It's really great. I think it's simple and effective, and I think that's what it needs to be as we evolve. So thank you for coming, and have a great day.
thanks so much, Bradley. It was fun catching up with you and I enjoyed it.